How do you create a sustainable company, one that's built for 50 years or 100?
Well, okay, so there's a lot of different elements to that. I mean, one of them is just the burnout factor with people. Let's talk about that first. And then I'll come to like repeatable innovation. So from a burnout point of view, I mean, a few things that I do, for instance, because obviously there's days where you have to like go hard and sprint and then, but for instance, like every quarter I take a week off, right? And I just have that pre-scheduled for the year. Because if you just kind of wait, there's never a good time to do it. We actually tried an experiment this year where we call them recharge weeks. Everybody in the company is like taking a week off every quarter, and they're doing it at the same time because sometimes if you're off, you're the only one who's taking a week off, and then people are pinging you the whole time and whatever. I don't know if we'll keep doing it or not. It's an experiment, but by taking a week off every quarter, it allows me to kind of make sure that I recharge. I have time to go learn new things. And it often like sometimes, I'm thinking about the business in some way, shape or form, but it's like, yeah, that's helped make it sustainable. Other things I've done, I've had a lot of different executive coaches. I have one now. It's fun. There's different kinds of executive coaches. Some of them are very tactical with their advice, like they're former CEOs. Others are basically therapists. And like, both are good and important versions to have. When I first heard that, I was like, oh, I don't want the therapist. I want like the tactical CEO coach. But I've found the therapist part is almost even more valuable. Let's see what else. I mean, like I have this kind of like morning routine where like I've noticed that my days I'm a lot more stressed if I just like wake up and I look at my phone. I haven't really like had any breakfast or exercised or anything, and like I'm like low blood sugar. Everything's pissing me off. I'm like irritable, and so that's just a bad way to wake up. Since now when I wake up, I basically don't look at my phone. I try to like do the morning routine. Exercise, like eat some breakfast, meditate, whatever. And then, okay, now I'll start my day and like try to, all these kind of things help. And I think this is important for the whole company to some degree, because a lot of new employees, especially like new grads or younger folks, like they actually don't know about burnout. They'll actually, you can have an unlimited vacation policy and tell people at the all hands meetings, whatever, like don't wait until it's too late, take time off, but they won't do it. Like sometimes I've seen, especially high achieving people, they push themselves like too hard. And they'll actually quit. And I'm like, why are you quitting? And they're like, I'm burned out. And I was like, well, why didn't you take any vacation the last 2 years? And they're like, I don't know. And they didn't feel like they had permission because everything was so important. And so we're almost like trying to force people to take a little bit of time off here and there. But we still have a pretty intense work environment at Coinbase. I'm trying to like, amp it up. Like we should be going hard, but then take periods of rest and renewal, and take rest like renewal very seriously. It's actually an important skill to learn. So, okay, so that's kind of how to like, go hard for the long term, but don't burn out. Then I think companies also need to have repeatable innovation. So what that means is you can't just have like one product that finally works and then you scale it and it kind of, the S curve tapers off. And then what do you do? I think companies need to continually have like a next act, and ideally like a portfolio of products or different revenue lines. So that while something is going down, another thing's going up. And we do this thing at Coinbase called 70-20-10 resource allocation. So like 70% of our resources go to the core business today that's making most of the money and it's at scale. 20% of our resources go towards these adjacent bets that are like an extension of the core. And 10% go to these venture bets, which are basically like kind of crazy ideas that have a higher chance of failure. But so even in up markets, down markets, we're putting 10% of our resources towards crazy, potentially big things that could work. They don't, and some of them don't. And that's allowed us to build this portfolio of products. And I think that's important for the long-term sustainability of companies, because it always maintains this startup culture, this founder mindset of like, it's always day one, never let us become complacent, try to disrupt ourselves before somebody else does, and just keep building the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Like that's what keeps a company exciting. That's how you extend the founding moment, right? Like Zuckerberg is trying to do that now with the metaverse instead of just being a social media company. And so if a company doesn't have like those continually stretch and try to build the next thing, I think it just becomes a little more complacent, and like good people eventually leave and stuff like that.